Hi and welcome to the Baby Sleep Magic podcast. My name is Chantal Murphy, and in today's episode we're actually going to be touching on and discussing food and calories. This is such a passionate topic of mine, and you've probably heard me rant about food quite a lot if you've followed me or watched me in other videos. But food plays a significant part in children and babies' sleep in general. Babies and children will not go to sleep and stay asleep if their tummy isn't full and they are not content. And what babies and toddlers are very good at doing is controlling their own calories. So that means if they are up all night feeding, whether they're on a bottle or they're on the breast or they're just comfort feeding even, it might even be every 45 minutes if you're really unlucky. But in some cases it could be every couple of hours where they're jumping on for a comfort feed because that's the only way they know how to get themselves back to sleep. But over a period of 10 to 12 hours, that tends to be a lot of milk over that time. And what generally happens, they wake up in the morning and they're not overly fussed on breakfast or milk even in the morning, or they're not overly interested in much until probably well after lunchtime, until all the calories that they've had overnight have started to wear off and burn off. And now they're starting to get a little bit interested in food or, if not even milk towards the very end of the afternoon. And they just know, even if you're offering them food, if they're at an age where they're able to eat, they will taste it, they will snack, they will have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but ultimately they're just going to keep pushing it away, turning their face away, because they know they're going to make up for those calories overnight. So my big tip here is for children, babies who are feeding overnight, if you can at all possible, try to keep the night feeds at least 4 hours apart. And sometimes I know that's going to be really difficult for people who babies are up very frequently, waking through the night, because if they are genuinely hungry, it's going to be very difficult to settle them back to sleep without feeding. So in that case, what you want to do, if you're doing a bottle feed, you want to reduce the amount of milk you're offering in the bottle. So look, 120 mils is kind of my go-to. You don't really want to be offering too much more than 120 mils. And if you can, make it 4 hours apart. If you're on the breast and bub's waking up, you want to make that feed count. You don't want them latching on, having 2 or 3 or 10 sucks and then falling asleep again, because one, they're not getting full in that, and 2, they're using you as a prop. So what you want to do is make that feed count. Turn the lights on, undo their sleep suit or their pajamas, or tickle their feet, really engage, make them engaged in this feed. We want them to feed, and we want them to feed well, so they go back to sleep full, with a full tummy, and they're content, and then hopefully they can give you another good couple of hours, if not, if you're really lucky, 4 hours. Because trying to settle a baby that's hungry, no matter what you do, you could do all the bouncing, rocking, shushing, patting in the world, even sometimes driving in the car, they're just not going to sleep. They'll continue to cry and cry and cry because they're genuinely hungry. So addressing your child's needs for food comes first and foremost before doing anything to do with sleep or sleep training or sleep changes in any way, shape or form. So like I said, babies and toddlers control their own calories. So what you want to try and do is offer less at night and more through the day. So if you've got a little one that is not on solids, you might want to start feeding your little one through the day, whether it's breast or bottle. If they're waking up every hour overnight, then feed them every hour through the day. Now, they're not going to have a full feed, obviously. They're not going to smash 180 mils every hour, and they're certainly not going to have 2 boobs every hour. But what you can do is offer it. We can't force feed, but we can just offer it. And whatever they have every hour through the day, it hopefully over a period of 24 to 48 hours will start to reduce the need for what they need overnight. And even if they do then wake, it's going to be so much easier for you to comfort them back to sleep, whether that's rocking, patting, holding, because they're content and their tummy is full and their needs have been met. So that's my tip when it comes to calories in particular, and with night feeds. And then if your little one is on solids, increase those portion sizes. Increase some more. If you've got a little one above the age of 8 months old, make sure you start implementing some morning tea, some afternoon tea. By the time your little one is 12 months old, milk at that stage really is a drink, not a meal. So we need your little one to be eating, at least a cup of food at each meal for breakfast, lunch and dinner by the time they're between 8 and 12 months of age. So, and until they're eating a cup of food for breakfast, lunch and dinner 3 times a day with snacks in between, they're probably not going to be capable of sleeping that well through the night without at least needing a feed or two. yeah, that's my advice when it comes to the food. So my other tip when it comes to night feedings, in the event that you are wanting to reduce night milk, what I would suggest or recommend doing is, if you're on a bottle, start with 120 mils and do that for 3 to 4, 5 days. After 4 or 5 days, reduce it down to 100 mils and do that for a further 4 days. And then after another 4 days, reduce it down to 80 mils for 4 days, and so on, 60 mils for 4 days. 40 mils. And when you get down to 40 mils, after that 4 days of 40 mils, then replace it with water. This is, though, really important. Your baby at this point really needs to be on solids to be able to achieve this. So, and when I say solids, by you reducing the milk slightly overnight, is naturally going to start increasing their calories through the day, because they're missing out on a little bit at night, but they're going to make up for it during the day. If you were breastfeeding, same method applies, but obviously you need to use your phone or you need to use a timer. So if they're on the breast for 10 minutes, you would do that for 4 days, then you reduce it down to 8 minutes for 4 days, and then 6 minutes for 4 days. Once you're down to 4 minutes after 4 days, the same system applies. You would then go in and offer water. But then again, this is all relevant if your little one can self-settle. So if you are already, rocking or feeding your little one to sleep, your success rate should improve with calories, but you probably won't experience a little one that goes to sleep and stays asleep for long periods of time, because they will probably still need a little bit of comfort to get them over the line. But applying that comfort should be a lot more successful if your little one is full and content. And I say this to all the families that I work with. When we go to a buffet all you can eat, we want to come home and we want to sit on the lounge and veg out and go to sleep. That's how we feel. We're content with how we feel, and we just want to doze off and go to sleep. And that's how we want your baby to feel, whether they're on solids or whether they're just on milk. We want them to have that full content feeling before they go down for even their nap during the day. You can offer a top up, or obviously at night. Babies over the age of 6 to 8 weeks old, they know the difference between night and day. So when your little one is going down for the night, if they're really protesting and they're really putting up a bit of a fight, chances are they know it's nighttime and they are not quite content and satisfied with the way they're feeling, and they either want a bit more milk. There's a lot of other things that come into that as well. Timings plays a big part, overtide, undertide, temperature a little bit, and obviously teething and discomfort plays a huge part for babies over the age of 6 months of age. But majority red flag that I do see is hunger. Baby, like I said, they know it's nighttime. They know they got a long haul ahead of them of sleep. They want to get the most calories they can, and they will continue, if it's there, to feed until they are completely full. And therefore, once they're content and happy, and sometimes that only might be an extra 30 or 60 mils in that bottle, or an extra bit of breast milk, just to get them over the line, that they're happy and content and can give you 4 to 6 hours. And what should happen at the beginning of the night, babies should go to sleep for the night, whether it's between 6 or 7:30 p.m. And they should have their best and deepest sleep. And us adults are the same. We go to bed at the beginning of the night and we have our best and deepest sleep for at least the first 5 to 6 hours. And then generally from there, we stir, we can hear things, we're quite vigilant of our surroundings. But the first initial part of our sleep, we're in our deepest and best sleep. Babies are the same, no matter how old they are. When they go to bed for the night, they should have their deepest and best sleep for the first at least 4 to 5 hours. If they're not, if they're waking up in the first hour or two, if not earlier than that, generally there's a reason why. Well, there is a reason why. They're either, if they're over the age of 5 to 6 months, teething can definitely contribute to their waking, because they're uncomfortable, they're in a little bit of pain and discomfort. It generally rears its ugly head at nighttime because there's no distractions, they're laying down, and they're finding it difficult to doze off and go to sleep and get into that deep sleep. But more often than not, is one thing I see is hunger. They are just not satisfied enough to continue to go to sleep and stay asleep for a long period of time. And they will need that constant topping up of the breast, or an extra bit of bottle, or even in some cases you just need to keep going in and cuddling them and cuddling them and cuddling them, or giving them extra bits of comfort. But the problem is it just doesn't last long enough. You might get them back to sleep, but it only lasts 30, 40, 50 minutes if you're lucky, until you've got to redo it again, because they're just not content enough to, like I said, give you those 3 to 5 hours that they're potentially capable of doing at that time of the night. So look, I hope that helps. I hope it gives you a really good overview of how important food is when it comes to Infants, children and babies, regardless of their age and what they're on or what they're not on when it comes to milk, food, solids, breast, bottle, it's just important all around that they're, happy and content for a long period of time. So look, if you do find this information useful, please feel free to share it with another mum or a friend, and I will see you in the next episode.